ask you this. If there is a hyper growth grocers, right, and they're self-aware that, you know what, we're still living in just a very manual world, right? Processes are not as sophisticated, broken, disconnected, we don't have probably any tool. What would be your just initial recommendation? Like, where do they need to start, right? What should be their starting point? Just high level, what should they be thinking as, top three, if they have to stagger their roadmap, what would that look like? I know it's a little bit of a loaded question and there are a lot of nuances, but just want to get your thoughts.
Yeah. So what would a hyper growth grocer really be focused on? I think the things that come to my mind is know your customer. I mean, if I really summed it up to one piece of advice, it would be do everything you possibly can to know your customer. And I think you really only have to look as far as what the big grocers are doing, especially with their loyalty programs and how they keep track of the transactions that each of their customers are making, and then leveraging that. Like I could walk into a grocery store like across the street here, and once I flash my loyalty card, they know everything I've done. So out of the register, right out of the POS, it's like, you know what? I can instantly give you 30% off on that item. And if you come back next week, in the next 7 days, I'll give you 2 for 1 on this, which is something I know you like to buy. So just getting to know your customer, whether that's an automated teller or an actual human being, all of those things are important, of course, but at the end of the day, loyalty is the key right now, is to get your customers to show up, keep coming back, and feel like they're going to have a pleasant experience. And that's what I was kind of describing a little bit earlier with the 4 trends, which is we really, customers really want to see that experience be seamless, simple, easy, and that they are appreciated as a customer. That's what's expected now.
And
Whether we want it or not, that's kind of it.
yeah, but tactically speaking, Jared, like, from a planning perspective, like, we live in the world of analytics and planning, right? So as they're planning and trying to get their forecast right, forecast more accurate, whether from the finance perspective, whether from inventory perspective, what should they be thinking, like, from that vantage point?
So tactically, what grocers should be thinking of, especially the smaller hyper growth grocers, is getting themselves into a technology solution that's got a very attractive total cost of ownership that's going to really meet all of those trends that they need. And I mean, I'm biased, of course, because I believe very strongly in there's a particular solution which I think is which in Anaplan that solves that. It has a very attractive total cost of ownership. It's in the cloud. You do not need a bunch of servers that have to be maintained on premise. It's all in the cloud. So let somebody else take care of that. You never have to worry about upgrades. So now I'm speaking directly to the IT department for a grocery. You don't have to worry about those upgrades and hiring expensive consultants to upgrade your software, or even to have listen to that message from your software vendor to say, I'm sorry, but we no longer support your version anymore. You have to upgrade, and it will cost you, 6 or 7 figures to do it. Put all of that away. Throw all of that away. You don't need to worry about that anymore. And cloud computing is the way to go. And one particular planning platform that was first to market with this idea was Anaplan. And they have a gigantic install base, and there's a good reason why. And the reason why is because this is what retailers have been wanting for a very, very long time, which is how in the world do I connect all of these different planning processes that I've got and not have to go buy a separate point solution for every single one of them. I could do it all in the same planning platform, which is Anaplan. So I guess the shorter answer, I should say, to your question, Ash, is to think about how are you going to enable these processes for you to get closer to your customer. And the best way to do it is to not have to worry about technology, is to be focused on you doing your job of learning who your customers are, but your time has to be freed up to do that. You can't be going and grabbing and munging data, putting it into a spreadsheet, figuring out how to integrate it with your point solution. Just have it all in the cloud. And that's why Anaplan is a very attractive option. I like it as a solution for any grocer, whether it's hyper growth or a well-established one as well. It's the same. So this allows grocers to focus on really getting to know their customer and shift the burden away from their IT department about figuring out, how do I cleanse this data, get it to the right environment, make sure all these solutions are working correctly, and then limit the functionality down so that they can actually accomplish those tasks, right? Now it's like, no, I let somebody else do that. They handle it. All I do is I focus on what are the processes I need to enable them, and then do them, and not worry about all this data and moving all this stuff around. I'm just going to do this job, look for trends, look for how to get closer to my customer. Anaplan. There's other technologies that are up and coming as well. They're kind of chasing Anaplan's tail a little bit. But for retail, especially with grocery, Anaplan's that's where I would point them, honestly.
From the